After 2 lists full of negative energy, it'll be nice to finally shed some light upon musical releases worthy of acclaim. I would like to begin feasting on some of the lesser attended records that come out each year, the extended plays. EP. An EP is like an album's younger sibling, usually shorter and often wishing for the same attention as its relative. Here is a list of 10 that I particularly appreciated. Hold on a second, before we get there, if you'd like to read a written version of this list that is a lot more serious in tone, feel free to check out the blogspot page that I've linked in the description below. And I thought that while I'm at it, I may as well call out a bunch of honourable mentions for other EPs that I thought were very good too.
As evil intends to start off slow, they graduate the middleman and penny standing, these niggas be tripe. I do not cash out on nothing I can't buy twice.
Ben Frost's music makes my eyelids feel cold. This follow-up EP to his album from last year is devastating in the frigid manner that defines his soul-crushing drone pieces, and as a long-time fan I am left completely satisfied. Although, should I? It feels more as if Frost's excruciating sound pieces and remixes of previous tracks that cut with a poignant beauty is trying to leave you feeling empty and hopeless. But checkmate, buddy, I already was. There was a time where funk music used to be pretty badass, but at some point in time, fun-loving hooligans dumped a ramekin of sweet corn onto the timeline and made it fun and a little bit silly. I don't find anything wrong with this, in fact it makes sense. When you hear a rhythm akin to these, you do feel the sudden urge to get up and shake thy booty. And although the London 4-piece band Prep make their influences very clear from the get-go, their new EP, Cold Fire, has a charming swagger about it that makes it such a fun set of tracks to get on down to. Cool in the gang, more like Couth in the ensemble.
Feel so good I might find me a wife. Buy her some diamonds, have a real ice. But I love a hood girl cause you're so feisty.
I'm convinced by this point that Dizzee Rascal can rap on just about anything. I wasn't entirely convinced by this cover artwork that looks like it's missing bottom text, but it turns out that Don't Gas Me is one of the most consistent projects that he's done, probably ever actually. While this isn't the first time that he's done this particularly breakneck style of rapping, I like that for the instrumentals he chose UK garage beats this time around, because it fills my hip house heart while Azealia Banks goes and clears out her basement. For a minute since the creative and Fruit Punch-esque laser light show that was Galaxy Garden from 2012, I'd been awaiting a release from Matthew Cutler that engulfed me as heartily. An EP with 2 tracks may not be as fulfilling as a full-length record, but I will take it eagerly as said songs are a tropical and radiant haven, with each breakbeat crispy and synthesizers rippling like raindrops on a puddle. Alright Australia, you can have this one. Hatchie's music is a crest of cuteness and every beaming smile to follow. Somewhere beyond the multitudes of Cocteau Twins comparisons because of its abyssal and dreamy sound, Hatchie writes songs as if she's absolutely love-struck, and not even the pithy, skirting around the edge kind of coverage. This is genuinely as if you've been sucked into the most blissful daydream ever and can't even move because of the weight of all your feelings. If you thought the cover artwork was a bit of a vanilla platitude, it's not lying to you. It really does sound like it's caught up in a heart-melting smite. I wouldn't even say it's vanilla, more like a very rich raspberry milkshake, the ones with real raspberries and not the shite essence you find in pipettes. The Wonder Woman behind the nocturnal, haunting Apocalypse Girl from 2015 brings it to the skeletals of songwriting with a droning serenade, but not before an utterly gorgeous flirtation with avant-garde jazz that finds the music feeling truly awake. Only after that does the long sleep begin. For how at peace with itself it sounds, everything from clicking castanets to HVAL's voice calling from beyond the walls of the dream, surrounded by what seems like the faint recordings of outside nature, or at the very least sounds that seem to emulate that sort of atmosphere. It's a meditation on art and its creation that is supported merely by its own existence, which I find to be meta as fuck, really. I was first made familiar with saxophonist NUBYA Garcia's work via the Various Artists compilation of nuanced jazz pieces, We Out Here. Of all tracks offered on that album, I was most drawn towards Once, Garcia's track, laced with a spring-loaded energy yet entirely cool-faced in its demeanour. It was strange, then, to further explore her current catalogue and be faced with something that was comparatively driven by a steady rhythm and above all, divinely transcendent. Garcia's saxophone passages are intensely passionate, and come the final few minutes of the second track, Source, they feel like a beautiful signal of escape. I wouldn't even say to miss the 2 remixes that come with online streaming either. They're just as transcendent as the rest. Via a brave and exhilarating new wave of producers willing to be inspired by contemporary club and dance styles of music and twisted ways to express their personal grievances, comes Southeast London DJ Shygirl, whose Cruel Practice EP stands as one release that entirely impresses me. The first sound on this release is a repeating siren-like violin screech that forms the base of the entire opening track, like the theme song from Psycho. It signals the urgent attitude of Blaine Muiz, triumphant for a narrator who comes close to describing the words, the people, the places that otherwise strike her with complete fear and paranoia, not for any other reason than to overcome and destroy them. As such, this is a very cathartic EP. Following that track is a magnetic potpourri of clattering 2-step beats, grimy bass lines, and of course, Muiz's whispered but assertive rapping. Although the anxious sound of Cruel Practice is ripe for a mucky underground club tucked away in an obscure streets in the city, there's such a venomous air and cadence that suggests another, much darker and grimmer location that Muiz wishes to go to. No way, I just did an actual review.
So blame fire, 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 blame.
You may notice a recurring theme in my lists, of which I will keenly gravitate towards artists and music that aim to be progressive in sound. It's only a shame that many stylistic fusions tend to go down quite clumsily, but Petite Noir specialised in one of the best executed fusions of styles that I've heard this year, bringing the spirit of his South African heritage with him into colourful and riotous pits of hip-hop, synthesizer pop, drone and post-punk to create stirring anthems that raise hands for liberation and the fierce breaking down of boundaries. A fitting call for something so eclectic. Unless you follow me on Twitter, and even then you need to be paying close attention to the large cracked toxic sludge pipe of shite that I spew all over people's timelines like the collective result of a bottle of cheap wine, a funnel and a large ego, you might not have seen this one coming. From what you heard in that music clip, you can tell a lot of SUNAREHT's Sagas EP has quite the mesmerising stammer. This was my first exposure to the developing Beirut club scene, of which many contemporary club styles are taking to form a unique amalgamation defined usually by erratic percussion and looping. Sagas is a special thing to hear, as it is one of many signposts for such an exciting new movement in electronic music, with 4 spectacular tracks that are totally fierce for their minimal composition, and its closing track, Saga, sealed the deal for me. This was beyond words, mainly because it didn't need to use any to feel like triumphant progress. This video has no proper ending and it will stay that way.